From the world of AV programming and control with James King, I'm Steve Greenblatt, and this is Ask the Programmer. James, how are you today? We have an interesting conversation on tap that I'm looking forward to.
Doing great. And yeah, I look forward to this topic because it's something I think we all wish was out there.
Absolutely. When we were thinking about what we want to talk about today, we were trying to figure out a subject that we haven't covered as much and something that is relatable to all. And what we came up with was monitoring your systems. It seems like that's been around for quite some time, and it's had a lot of different flavors, and a lot of people have taken a crack at it, and everybody seems to think that they need a monitoring solution. And when I say everyone, that's every manufacturer thinks that they need to provide a monitoring solution. And I understand why that's important to them, and we can get into that. But why is monitoring important to a client, and why? And I guess as a follow up, why are we continuing to struggle to find something that works?
So why monitoring is important, I would say, is it's allows you to see what's going on in your environment. If it's done right, like a true monitoring system allows you to peek into your systems and see what's going on, especially in higher education. We have, give or take, 200 classrooms. Knowing which ones are having problems and which ones are not, and all that stuff is vital, especially because we can't get around to every room every single day to make put eyes on it. So this allows us to do it remotely, quicker and easily. So I would say that's why everyone wants one. Now, what was the second part of your question?
Why have we struggled to find the right solution? I
So the reason why we struggle to find the right solution is one, you're never going to find one solution that fits all. Everyone has different data sets they want to look at that they care about. So that's one of the challenge. And the other challenge is what we've been seeing in AV for a while is no one wants to play nice with each other.
Mhm.
They like, oh, I got monitoring for my equipment, and that's all I care about. And I don't care about, brand Z over there. I only care about my brand. And then you got some that'll, kind of branch out a little bit and expand their circle, but it's still very limited, not full like equipment agnostic to just work with anything. I know they're trying to get like IT because IT has their single pane of glass, but it's very hard when they won't play nice with each other.
Yep, single pane of glass. I can't tell you how many times that's one of those buzzwords that I hear all the time, and I get it, and I understand why, and I also understand that IT is commonly uses something like this, but I think that IT is more standardized, and that's something that we talk about quite a bit. And everything in IT is using the same protocol, if you will, they're all complying to the same way of communicating, regardless of what your product is or the manufacturer. Um, my experience has been that the monitoring software has been a way to really hook the client into a particular brand. And to your point, that they're not willing to play nice with each other, which means that if I'm working with monitoring software that is brand specific, or now we're seeing more that are integrator specific, you're kind of stuck into one or the other. And it, to me, I think neither of those really work unless you're willing to say that that solution works so well and has so much value that you're going to forego the ability to make changes or change your mind, if you will. The other side of it that we've experienced from a programming perspective, and I'm sure you can weigh in very much on this, is that monitoring doesn't do anything until the programming side feeds the information, because these are not plug and play solutions. The monitoring software is just a shell that has to be custom configured, and then the programming needs to feed the information to the monitoring software. I don't know that that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, and again, I think in that scenario, which he brings up a good point, is goes back to what I first said, where everyone is unique. Like the data I care about might be different than what Vanderbilt cares about or what Rutgers cares about. Like each person is going to have their own data that they want, that they care about, what's important to them. And manufacturers or even these integrators, you can't throw everything in the kitchen sink at them because we see what happens. We talked about that with bloatware. Um, and then you get that with your monitoring system. So it's a very interesting challenge, I would say.
Do you see a time where we're going to make this easier? Is this where there's going to be more of a universal solution, or is it that the that we're going to have to find our way over to IT and really hitch our wagon to that?
So part of me wants to say yes. I have hope that we'll get there. I think some companies are moving that direction, but there's still there are limitations and still some things that are, questionable with it. But for us to truly get to that single pane of glass that we're looking for, we have to be like our IT uh folks and have standards, our
Mhm.
communication standards, and have the proper data set that is formulated correctly um to provide that single pane of glass. Because until then, you're dealing with a mountain of data that's going to be a mess.
I think data has probably been the word you've said the most in this conversation, and I agree with you. I think everyone was very hung up on it. We're collecting this data, we're collecting the data, and we're getting all this data, but it doesn't do anything unless you present it or you're able to draw conclusions from it. Now that AI is in the picture, and I know that AI is a separate topic and something that we've explored a bit, and we're all trying to wrap our arms around, could that be a way that we might see this information or the monitoring and the collection of data pay off?
Yes, when I think of AI and the value where AI brings, it's in situations like this. I'm teaching myself some AI stuff. I've been going for some AI courses. An interesting fact is we like our data to be structured, rows and columns, structured data, everything matches up. Well, 80% of our world data is unstructured. And that's where AI comes in to handle. So I really see the value of AI there to help us out. But again, it's only going to be valuable if we can give it the right parameters. We can't just, throw it at the 80% and be like, okay, give me my answer, because then it's still going to be confused. It's still going to be lost, just like we are with the data until it has the proper parameters. So we need to build the guardrails, and we need to know what those guardrails are to make the tool work for us.
Yeah, I agree. I've been doing a little bit of AI research myself, and I recently wrote an article about using AI in business. And what I learned from I kind of wrote it so that I could spend the time to do research and learn. And one of the things I learned was that machine learning is a subset of AI. And to your point, it's what it does is it detects patterns and it looks at associations between the data, and then it's able to do some predictive analytics and give you some uh, decision making, or what it thinks is the right decision based on that, or recommendation, if you will.
Yeah. That's the key thing. And I think some folks, not everyone, but some folks who are on the AI bandwagon They don't understand that aspect. The true AI is a weighted choice. It gives you options. Just like your GPS, so you put in your address, it's going to say, hey, I believe this is the fastest route. It may not be, and gives you a couple alternate routes that you could choose from. You, the user, need to make the final decision with the information given. That's where AI becomes valuable. When we sit here and go, well, AI is going to do everything for us,
Yeah.
that's being wrong. I know we're going away from monitoring and talking about AI.
It might be our next conversation, so stay
Yeah.
tuned. But I guess if we are going to come back around to monitoring, if we were going to look at monitoring and say this would be ideal, or this would, if we were, if somebody was going to say to us, what would make the best solution? Is there something that comes to mind for you?
Um, it's hard because my thing is I have yet to find the perfect solution for monitoring. Um, to the point where when I was back east and I had more time on my hands and I was doing more programming, I was actually writing my own. I was building my own monitoring system to give me the data that I needed from my system. Never got it completed, never really got far into it. I mean, I had a decent stuff working with it, but it just never really got taken off because, I changed jobs. So I haven't really found somebody out there who's doing exactly what I'm looking for. It might be different. I mean, there might be folks out there who go, hey, I have the perfect monitoring system for me and it's working great. Give me that single pane of glass. Hey, that's great for you. Um, if it's working for you, great. But are you really getting the data and being able to make the decision you need to make? And the decisions, and this is where monitoring systems need to start really looking at, is the decisions need to be different based on the person. For example, my techs, they really need to know what's up, what's down, what's a problem in a room. Yes, it's beneficial for me to know that as a supervisor, but I need to know more of, like, okay, what equipment is coming to end of life? Do I need to start budgeting for replacement? How can I go to my leadership and be like, hey, this is the classrooms that aren't not being used. Let's not throw money here. Or hey, this is a classroom that's used a lot and we see dramatic fail rate here. We need to put more money into this. Like, that's data I need. That's monitoring I need. But my techs don't need that. They don't need to be armed with that. But the system needs to be able to do what they need to do as well what I need to do.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. So it comes down to use cases and it comes down to different users. So it's kind of similar to programming a system.
Exactly.
And to your point, you know, you're doing proactive maintenance, which is your team being able to know there's a problem before the users do so that they can go and fix it. Or and part of that is understanding what makes a problem and what are the things that commonly go wrong so that we focus in on being able to keep an eye on them. There may be a lot of things that you can monitor, but if you want to monitor what's most important, and I think that's a lot of the importance here is writing a good scope, and I guess that's kind of where I was going to is, you know, maybe we're thinking about things the wrong way, and we need to really define what we need, and then bring that to the market and say how can you solve this for me?
Yeah, that is a interesting take on it. And I think right now the monitoring software that's out there is I would say is tackling the low hanging fruit on the monitoring. And it's probably what most people think about when they're thinking about monitoring. I want to know what's up, what's down.
Hmm.
That's the low hanging fruit. Every monitoring software out there can do that. Great. Find the one that works for you. My thing is I should not have to jump through 5 different softwares to do it. That's a whole nother ball game. But yeah, it's more that high level I think we are really missing in the monitoring systems.
And I think where it impacts programmers as we wrap up is that a lot of times we don't have a way, the programmer needs to get involved to be able to be that person who says, I need to understand what you're trying to accomplish so that I could program it so that the monitoring software could provide that information for you. And historically, I think, and I hope that our many of our listeners will be nodding their head and being able to relate to this, is that the programmer's been left in the middle, and they've just been told, we have this monitoring in a project, make it work.
Yeah.
And what does that mean to somebody?
Yeah, I think that's really what it is and this is not to attack anybody, is you have your sales folks out there who wants to sell the monitoring. You have your end users who say, "Hey, I need monitoring," but they're not clear on what they want from the monitoring system. And then your programmers are left to be like, "What am I doing?" Like,
Mhm.
I have no clear scope. Okay, here, we're just gonna throw this at it. Um, so you're right. I think a clear scope would be good. And it's gonna be conversations. The conversations the AV industry needs to have so we can build the scopes and give our programmers the tools they need to provide a proper monitoring system.
Yeah, I think that's a good place for us to wrap this one. But I'm curious to hear from our listeners what your experiences have been. If we are, if you're in agreement with what we're saying, if there's more that you want to add to this conversation, reach out. But it's this is a topic that's been around for a while, still has yet to be resolved, in my opinion, and I think that there's still more to discuss about it. So. Um, James, if people want to get in touch with you, continue this conversation and learn what you're up to, how can they do that?
You can Google me. You'll find me out there on the interwebs. X as AV_James King. I'm on LinkedIn. I write for the Higher Ed Digital Magazine, the IT and AV column. Again, Google me. I'm out there.
Excellent. And for me, you could reach me at Steve Greenblatt on social media, my company, Control Concepts, at controlconcepts.net. And th- by the time this episode airs, we'll be very close to InfoComm. So you could see James and me out there at InfoComm, and we hope you do. And if you do, we'll give you a sticker and thank you for listening. But please reach out and let us know that you're out there, and let us know what you think about the show, whether it's in person or online, and we really want to hear from you. You can catch this podcast on video form on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, audio in your favorite podcast player, and let us know if you want to be a guest on the show, or if you have a topic that you want us to cover. We're always here to listen and address the questions that are related to programming and control. And until next time, this has been Ask the Programmer.